in Nigeria this morning. This is the headline news review, and where we analyze some of the trending stories in Nigeria at the moment. I am Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
We'll get into our conversation. We have Nicholas Nwarunoye, who's joining us this morning. Nicholas, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You came in quite a bit late. Maybe it was just as a result of consuming and from yesterday. But how was your Christmas celebration, by the way?
Well, thank you very much. It was okay. It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Generally.
We're grateful. We're grateful that it was fine. It's good to see you this morning after Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Have you unboxed your gift yet? Maybe when you return back home?
I used to think this boxing thing was about real boxing.
I also mentioned that this morning. We had to clarify. It's not about boxing.
Oh, really?
It's unboxing
We're
presents.
just making a joke out of that, But anyways, we're not going anywhere physical or violent this morning. It's about unboxing, presents, exchange during the Christmas holiday. Mm-hmm. Now, Nicholas, let's pick it up from yesterday. A caller asked a question yesterday on Dele Farotimi, and then he asked if you've read the book first, and then he asked if you've also seen the chat sheet, from Emmanuel Chambers, and then he wanted you to make further clarification on your position on the story, where you mentioned maybe that what Dele Farotimi has done, you're not going to say is right or is unlawful or wrong. Please, a quick clarification on that.
I have what I have seen about the book. It's just synopsis and reviews about it, and of course, the thing about reviews, it's always from a subjective angle. I haven't read the book in itself, and secondly, ordinarily I wouldn't have been interested in the book if not for the fact that when you ban something, it creates a life of its own. It has a life, and I've been trying to see if I can, have the time to look at it. But I think I have a general idea of what the book is all about. It's all about the Nigerian judicial system, and of course allegations, very, very serious allegations were made against the judicial system, even the Supreme Court. And of course, Afa Babalola got an unflattering report in that book in such a manner that it kind of undermined his integrity. And like I said, that if you feel maligned, if you feel defamed, and considering the fact that the man has put in several years into his practice and he's a statesman, he has a right to seek for redress. But my point is that if you are going to seek for redress, if you are going to seek for damages, it should leave nobody in doubt that you have followed the proper procedure. The procedure Baba has followed, showed that more or less vindicates what the man alleged, which is that there are some people who are so powerful within the judicial system, they can use the system to get what they want. That is the crux of what Farotimi is saying, and Baba's action tends to be, consolidating the fact, tends to be giving credence to that allegation. That is my point.
All right, thank you, Nicholas. Nicholas just had to pick it up from the question we received from a caller yesterday. Before we go into our conversation for this morning, let's state categorically the views to be expressed on this program and on some of these trending national stories is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely expressed, by the analyst Nicholas Nwarunoye or any of our contributors this morning. Remember, if you call in and you get through, you have the space of 1 minute to pass your comments. Let's keep it clean and devoid of logical fallacies or fake news. Let's not insult anybody with our comments. Let's keep it very, very civil. It's about the interest and the customs about Nigeria. So let's be Nigerian. Let's look for solutions rather than condemnation. And back to my colleague this morning.
Of course, before we dive into another story this morning, please note that we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's on Facebook at FlowFMNG and on YouTube at FlowFM927. Now, it was Christmas yesterday and a lot of people had a wonderful time. Unlike for the people in the Southeast, they've expressed frustrations over, steep fare hikes and prolonged delays caused by numerous military and police checkpoints across major routes in the Southeast. And now someone was saying that a trip that typically lasts for 40 minutes is taking up to 2 hours.
I told you guys when I was in the East, I think I did mention some of this, the number of checkpoints that you see on the way. You see, in 2018, Inter-Society came up with a report showing that on the Southeast East alone, within 3 years, over 100 billion naira, on bribes was realized by both the army, the police, and other paramilitary units, was on the highway alone. So making, the security agencies professional highway robbers. In fact, that was the title of the report by Inter Society in 2018. So it even broke down, what came to which, that the army got, the police and army got about 60%. Then, it's I recall reading that report at that time. And you see, when you now look at it vis-a-vis, crime mapping across the country, you discover that the Southeast has the lowest crime rate, compared to the Southwest, compared to South-South, compared to Northwest and Northeast. You understand? So when you now put all these things out, you say, okay, I think from the latest one I read, in terms of crime reporting, that's the number of crimes that is reported in NSCDC police station, you have about 6 million. So when you put it across, when you now look at it, vis-a-vis the population, about 36 million people living in the Southeast. So what you have, it comes to about, maybe out of every 6 or 5 people, one person commits a crime, that is acceptable, really. You understand? When you have out of 5 people, one person commits a crime. So that is still manageable compared to other figures you have from elsewhere. So, when you put those figures and statistics, you put it side by side with what with the over-concentration of security checkpoints, you then ask the point, what exactly are they setting out to achieve? So what it seems to me is that, it has now become a very lucrative business. You understand? And, we had the same situation while fighting Boko Haram, and, it became a business for a lot of people. People now, you see a lot of, people in the military buying up complexes and the rest of them. Then, of course, you have the issue of arms deal, controversies in courts, in the EFCC, going after army generals. You see, that is always the problem with our country. Measures that are put in place to ensure security, to ensure the welfare of people. Some people just hijack it, create a cabal out of it, and use it to milk and extort hapless Nigerians. That is what is happening in the Southeast. And I predicted that this kind of a thing is going to happen during the Unitime. So
can I ask you? I'm sorry, my colleague. Before I go further,
go ahead.
I just need to quickly ask you. So you make clarifications on it, maybe you just on purpose, just left out this other part of
all right,
of the question I was going to ask you. Before now, in 2018, according to the report that you've quoted, before 2018, what was the situation like on the roads entering in the into the Southeast? And by 2018, do you propose, just intentionally leave out some of the uprising that happened in the Southeast as a result of, unrest? And that's why you have presence of military and the presence of police in the Southeast.
You see, there has been uprising in the Southeast. These are pockets of uprising. Just like you have it elsewhere. It's not as if there hasn't been uprising in the up north there where people are killed. But you don't levy a wholesale, security checkpoints on every route.
How many of the security checkpoints do we have across the Southwest? If you look at the north, and where the northeast and the northwest, where you have some of these other, uprising, unrest and all, don't you see the presence of military checkpoints there, police checkpoints there as well? And then the southeast, is it not for the protection of the people, or is it?
Yeah, we keep talking about insecurity.
Exactly.
Okay, now wait. You have security presence if there are crime, right? Yeah. That is preponderance of crime in the area.
All right.
And I just ruled out some statistics. I'm talking of recent statistics that show that crime level there is low. It has always been low. You understand? And why is it like that? It's because, you see, they operate a bottom-up system. You understand? Where security is taken up by what you call the autonomous community. So everybody knows the next person. Like, I served in the East. I served in Anambra State. Like the Oka, when you talk of Oka, for instance, Oka is made up of villages. You understand? Yes, it might look urban, but there are villages actually that came together and are called Oka. So each village has an autonomous community that has a governor general, and they have their security. And every police knows that if you really need to, if you want to work very hard, that is, if you want to get results, you work with them. You understand? So that's why most times it is so easy to track down crime there. In fact, do you know that in Anambra State, at some point under Obiano, for over 6 years, there was no bank robbery? You understand? And that was a first anywhere in the country. So I am just giving out statistics that this is what happens. Now, I understand these fears, the security fears. There had been civil war there before, and there is a consensus that it must never happen again. So definitely, when you have any kind of things that tend to talk about Biafra and the rest of them, it raises anxiety. That is
sorry to
legitimate.
butt you. Wouldn't you say that the reason why the crime rate is so low now compared to before is because of the presence of this, security personnel?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
To keep a lead on it.
No. I don't think so. Because you see, like I said, I served there in the year 2000. There wasn't that much of, what do you call it, security checkpoints here and there. Now, at that time, there was a spike in robbery in Anambra Axis, and then you had this, what you call this Bakassi boys, it was a homegrown, what's it called, a homegrown solution that even the police at that point sanctioned. Because at that time, it brought down the level of crime that was happening in the state, before the police took over and ensured that thing never happened again.
Nicholas, let me also,
okay,
so that you really clarify.
Okay.
You're saying that the level of crime is not the reason why you have the presence of police and the military there.
It
right?
is essentially because of the IPOB, thing.
That was my direct question to you, and then relating it to the presence of military and police in northern Nigeria, where you have this uprising as well too.
Okay.
If it was for the level of crime, you won't see the level of the military presence and the level of police presence that you have currently in the east.
Okay, let us do it this way. Let's use figures, for instance. Now, if you look at the figures of killings, violent killings, you have more in the north because of insurgency, banditry, and the rest of them. Can you compare the level of the number of checkpoints that you have there
in the north or in the east?
Yeah, in the north.
All right.
You don't have that same kind of a preponderance of checkpoints. You don't have it there. Despite the fact that there is a heavy killings there. You understand what I'm saying? Invariably is this. You see, sometimes the problem we have with the way we run our system is that when we don't review and review. Is there any need to take off checkpoints and use other measures that are human, that is civilian friendly? That is what we say that government should be doing. You understand? If we have a situation where you rehabilitate Boko Haram and the rest of them, it's a civilian way of trying to bring them in, and it has yielded results. It has yielded result because you get them in, they give you intelligence. This is why we do this, and government goes out, to work on it, and you get results. So if you use one system over time, and it creates enough economic hardship, I think it's time you take a review over it.
Does the presence of security there threaten the existence of Nigerians there or civilians? Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
Does it threaten the livelihood of a common Easterner?
Okay, let's put it this way: man hour, 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
All right,
trip.
Nicholas, hold on. Let's quickly take this call.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Headline News Review. What's your name?
My name is Ope.
Can you speak into your phone?
Thank you.
Can you speak louder, please?
I need your help.
All right, maybe you talk to us or text us on WhatsApp right after this conversation. All right?
Okay,
All right.
Send your WhatsApp number to me.
All right, I will call the number. It's the same number that you just called.
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you a lot. Well, this is a news headline review, and of course, we're discussing trending national stories.
Okay.
And Nicholas is right here with us.
Like I was saying, whether it's it affects the economic mainstay of the people. You see, there is what you call man hour, in economics. You understand? If you spend, that is for a trip of 40 minutes, you end up spending 2 hours. That means you have lost a lot in monetary terms, in terms of exertion and the rest of them.
So now, about an hour, 20 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. So that is, and we say the common refrain is that time is money. Time now money. And everybody knows the truism of this. You know, when you put in a job you are supposed to put in just 40 minutes, you put in 2 hours. You know, you imagine the number of things that you can do within that period. So these are some of the, this is just one. Then of course, you know, when you have an overbearing presence of this, what does it say? It gives you the impression that you're under siege. It is a psychological thing. It's both psychological and it's both emotional. You understand? So you need to live there to see what happens. I've been there. I travel a lot and I sit there. So I lived on this. I lived in Ilorin. I worked in Lagos. I worked in Abuja. You know, so you know, you can make a comparison. You know, when you see things like this. You know, so I live here. You know, I'm a culture hybrid kind of. You understand? I got married, so I know the mentality here, and I know the mentality. So they have a siege mentality over there. You understand? So you can make a comparison. So it's only when you have been there and you are here that you'll be able to make a and see how they feel about some of these things.
Don't they have the siege mentality with the sit-at-home orders as well?
Where? Please, could you take that again?
Now, don't they have the siege mentality with the sit-at-home order?
Of course, they have. Like I said, when we discussed it, then you asked me, and I said it is more out of fear that they could be killed. For me,
now shouldn't an average Easterner have the trust and have the belief in the nation's security structure than the other?
Okay,
that threatens their existence.
Well, why don't let's look at it this way? Right here, a few days ago, we talked about police killing young people. That is the same police that is there that set up. One of the security agents that set up this. So we travel and we see what happens on road checkpoints. You understand? So that same security agency is the one manning all these things we are talking about. And, you have to excuse them if they have a siege mentality, because there is no way you can go through this, and not drop something. I just said what a report that was heavily reported. That is a report by Inter-Society. It's a legitimate, well-recognized body. It is not a Nigerian body. You understand? So they did that report. It was so comprehensive with photographs and everything that it was widely reported. In fact, I had to review that report again before coming on air. You understand? It was, I think, Premium Times did the comprehensive thing on it. You understand? And I had reported something like that and had a different figure, way higher. You understand? But even though I compared, what you have in the southeast, what you have southeast, south, southwest, then north central. That was where I limited my figure. So I had something getting close to 1 trillion or so. You get the point. So, because at that time I used to travel from Ilorin via Jeba, Mokwa, along that axis. So I do it at least twice a month. And I take stock. I take the number of it. So sometimes when I'm going, I go through that route. When I'm coming, I come through the southwest Ekiti axis through Ekiti Kwara. You understand? And I was counting the number of checkpoints you have there and how much every car drops. And you talk to those people, you talk to NURTW, they tell you that for this car, this is what you pay. For this car, this is what you pay. For a bus, this is what you pay. For a trailer, this is what you pay.
Okay, so quickly, how do we curb that? Again, because it's something that has really, really eaten deep.
I think, the presidency has to lean heavily on the police, that there is a need to stop this. In fact, the very dark man said something about it recently when the IG said that he has stopped all checkpoints. Nobody should collect anything on checkpoint. Recently, the IG himself said it. And very dark man came and said, look, you cannot continue saying things like this when you underpay the police officers. You get the point. So, you see, it's a commingling of a lot of factors. An underpaid police officer suffering, and you put his life in danger, and he has children to take care of, then one way or the other, and you arm him with his uniform, you give him an ID card and a gun. You understand? So it's in the hands of the authority. We have to define the kind of police we want. What kind of police do we want? Is it the kind of police that we use to intimidate people, to keep people in power, a regime protection only, or people-oriented police? That is the decision we have to make at the leadership level. it's only when that is done that we can really have a trickling down effect on some of this.
Can I ask you a very funny question?
Yeah.
Because I used to travel a lot by roads as well too at some point. So I think virtually I know all the routes around. If you can I ask you that the public transport operators are they encouraging this? Bribe giving and do they encourage it? Because hey, I've been to the north, north central. I've been to the northwest. I've been to all around the southwestern states. I've been there, and I've seen for myself as well too the collection that happens. Yes. Now sometimes there was a particular one. This particular police officer wasn't even ready to take. It was given by the driver.
Okay.
It was given by the driver. No. It would definitely be forceful anyways. But he was extended. The officer did not stretch out to receive or to take. But he was the one who extended it to him. And I thought
because it's like second nature now. You just expect that you want to you have to give.
So maybe the skill, maybe it's another technique these officers have taken up. They don't stretch hands anymore.
No, you see,
it is the driver that gives it to them.
No, you see, if we had time, maybe we can take this up. I will give you some of the techniques I know they use to collect money. You understand? I will give you, but it's a very long list that I even made along that route that I traveled.
So the question directly is, NUMCW, are they the ones encouraging? Because some you see
I
them,
don't think
you
so.
see them, they don't have, let's take a typical one. Federal Safety Commission, Federal Safety Corps, I beg your pardon. You see that some of them, I've been on the bus where the driver didn't have a driver's license.
Exactly.
A couple of times. And then the officer was, this is your offense. And he tried to pay. I was so furious. I was like, no, you can't drive me. When we sorted out, we were going to Zaria then. We got to Jebba just before the bridge.
Yeah.
And that was where, just right after that train track. That was when we were stopped. And then the officer said, where is the driver's license? He was trying to sort the officer.
Rather than produce the license.
The officer said, you know what? Everybody come down. Okay, please return to Ilorin and go and pay so fine. He came back and then he said, can we proceed with the journey? That's when I said, no, I cannot go. Because what is the assurance that once we leave here, another officer will not stop us ahead? Oh, let's say we get to Bida or Mokwa and then stop us ahead. I won't get on your bus or your car without you having a driver's license.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then I had to enlighten the people there. And then we all agreed. You had to call their park. To bring
send another driver.
We all travel. We see some of these things on the Nigerian roads. Is it an encouragement from these transporters?
This is what I look. Humans by nature tend towards what you call entropy, disorder. It's a natural order of things. That is why you have laws in place. And the thing is that when you have all laws in place and strictly enforced, people tend to obey it more than you have the exceptions. Yes, you can have exceptions, bad eggs and the rest of them. It happens. But you see, what we are talking about is a preponderance. It's now like a culture within the security. Most times you don't even have a choice. Sometimes they ask for driver's license, you give it to them. You ask for, the police have said several times that they are not asking police to collect driver's license or vehicle papers. Or except when they have issues that, this one looks suspicious.
Exactly.
That is when things like that happen. But is that being followed by majority of the people that you have on the highway? The answer is no. So I am putting it at their doorstep. They have to clean up their mess. They have to clean up the giant table. So that is my take on that, honestly.
All right, thank you a lot for that. Let's quickly move on to another
story.
Spend
a lot of time on this one.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's because it's really, really pressing.
It is.
But because of time, we still need to have more deeper conversations on that. But Bishop Kuka has urged the federal government to tackle unemployment and religious extremism and address insecurity. That's the Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Asan Kuka, called on the government to address the twin issues of unemployment and religious extremism as part of efforts to curb rising insecurity in Nigeria. Your reaction real quick?
Yeah, well, we have always said it here that most of these people are abandoned people. People who there is no government presence, there are no job, even the farming is no longer available. So that is a is something that government have to look. And year in year out, we have been making this call. You understand? So with the Holy Father, saying, the bishop saying this is another strong reminder. And don't forget that he's a very, very influential person. And government listen to him. I hope they listen to him this time around. All
right, let's touch on this story real quick before we round off on the news analysis this morning. This is a Christmas tragedy. The airstrike targeting Lakurawa bombs 2 Sokoto communities.
Well, it's quite sad, really.
It is sad.
It is very, very sad.
Especially happening on a day like that.
And that wouldn't be the first instance. At least I know of 3 that happens. And usually when that happens, there are a few reasons why things like that happen. One, it's either there is poor intelligence, poor reconnaissance before
communication.
Yeah. Then of course the targeting gear might be faulty. Then of course the protocol. When you fly, what are the protocols? What are the normal protocols? If you fail to follow the protocols, you have those kind of problem. And I think it's high time the military brass really sit down and look at this, because God forbid if there is an invasion and they have to fly sorties, what we are going to be having is killing more Nigerians than even the enemies themselves. You understand? So because this thing cannot keep on recurring like this. Yeah, I'm measured in my response, because when you look at it by and large, I think the military have been doing well. They have been doing well, and this incident is quite unfortunate. It's
now, did you read the statements coming from them? It lacked
that remorse.
And
I think it's a preliminary,
and then taking responsibility. But rather, it was more or less like, this is what our intentions were meant to be.
And also, does this incident kind of like make this Lakurawa terrorist kind of a little bit more comfortable, knowing that they were targeting us, but you did not get here. Rather, it hit their own people.
No, I think Lakurawa has been taking taking heavy losses, sincerely, and I don't want to sound insensitive. You understand that they could deploy the Air Force shows the seriousness. What the military is trying to do to dislodge them completely. You understand, but it's quite sad, really, that this has to happen. Like I said, now that what I think has happened is just a preliminary statement. And I think there's going to be a comprehensive one later, because we don't have a concise figure of the number of casualties. So it is only when that is established that you have a more remorseful, statement. Yeah.
Well, a lot of Nigerians would have expected that there should be a level of acceptance rather than denial in some of these things, because again, we must give them a salute and a custom for their gallantry, and of course encourage all that they do for the country. Thank you, because we're celebrating Christmas while we were busy with the rice, and some of them
were out there
in the cold as well. So thank you. We salute your gallantry. Thank you, Nicholas, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
That's the size of 8 for today. We're back tomorrow, 8 o'clock to 8:30. My name is Adeyemi.
And I am Danielle. Shitta-Bey, thank you for joining us.
Please remember that views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7. Good morning.
Gbogbo èèyàn ló lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sóúnjẹ òwúrọ̀ tó dáa. Wọ́n lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí gbogbo